Welcome to House Talk, with videos that'll provide maintenance tips unique to Trilogy at Vistancia Homes. With your host, Doug Bowman.
Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be discussing APS electric rates and what you need to know and some of the do's and don'ts regarding your rate plan. First off, if you don't know which of the following plans you have, you're likely to make decisions that will cost you, and in some cases, cost you a lot. I will show you how just starting a washing machine at the wrong time can cost you over $8, $9, $10 or more in a month, just for pushing that button once. I encourage you to stop the video and see what rate plan you have. You can get that information from your monthly bill, or if you have an account online with APS.com, you can get it from there. There's several APS rate schedules that are applicable to Trilogy homes. We are going to focus on non-solar rate plans, since these are the customers with the most to lose. They run from old fixed-rate two-part plans, which means there's really no risks to you, but you also have no opportunities to lower your costs, to several time-of-use plans, or three-part plans that let you benefit from changing your behaviors to use electricity during off-peak periods. But let's get started talking about some simple utility basics. Here's the journey an electron takes to get to your house. Generators create electricity, and when I say generators, it's a pretty broad term. It can be steam generators like nuclear, coal, and natural gas. It can be in the form of huge solar and wind farms, or it can be from water-driven sources like dams or reservoirs. These generators are connected to the transmission grid that operates at voltages greater than 100,000 volts. In fact, APS has transmission lines as high as 500,000 volts. The electrical energy is transmitted through these lines for hundreds of miles until it gets close to your neighborhood, where it enters a substation and is either rerouted to another transmission line, or it's transformed down to a voltage that can be routed more easily to your customer. There's a huge substation just west of Route 303 in Happy Valley to give you an idea what I'm talking about. The lower voltage network is called a distribution network, which can run either on smaller poles or buried underground. The closer the distribution system gets to your house, the lower the voltage gets transformed until it enters to your house at 240 or 120 volts. In Trilogy, our distribution services are all underground, which is great, so we don't have to look at those ugly wooden poles. Owners and operators of the generation, transmission, and distribution systems used to be local utilities, but since FERC Rule 888 was issued in 1996, transmission and generation companies had to be separate. Today, APS owns much of the local transmission and distribution wire system, and the generators are owned by separate companies. When you pay the APS bill, there's a separate line item for generation, transmission, and distribution, also called delivery. APS cashes your checks and then turns around and writes checks to the generation companies on your behalf. That's why you're not stuck writing 2 or 3 checks a month. Now let's talk about rate plans. With all plans, you pay a daily fee. This daily fee covers embedded costs of the utility that are fixed and are not tied to power usage, like customer service, HR, billing, accounting, etc. The charges tied to electrical usage are measured in kilowatts or kilowatt hours. A kilo is 1,000. A kilowatt, or kW, is 1,000 watts of power. If you have a washing machine that uses 1,000 watts of power when it runs, and it runs for 2 straight hours, it has used 2 kilowatt hours, or 2 kWh. As I said earlier, there's 2-part plans and 3-part plans. 2-part plans consist of that daily basic service charge I just talked about, and an energy charge. The way you save money on 2-part plans is by reducing the amount of electricity being consumed. 2-part plans have names like Light Choice, Premier Choice, and Saver Choice. You can see here on the Light Choice plan that the basic service charge is almost 33 cents a day, and the energy charge is about 11.5 cents per kilowatt hour, up to 600 kilowatt hours. On the Premier Choice plan, the basic service charge is about 50 cents a day, and the energy charge is a little over 12 cents per kilowatt hour for customers that use between 601 on up to 999 kilowatt hours. The upside of these plans is that the cost of a kilowatt hour remains the same all day, every day. The downside is that the only savings opportunities is for you to eliminate energy usage, period. To put this in perspective, I have a Trilogy home that's about 2,100 square feet, and I live in Trilogy year-round. It's achievable to use less than 999 kilowatts a month in a plan like Premier Choice, but I can only achieve that September through May. In the hotter months of June through September, I average a usage closer to 1,600 kilowatt hours, so these plans would not work for me year-round. Now let's talk about the Saver Choice plan. Saver Choice introduces the time of use method, where the month of the year and the time of day have an impact on the cost of a kilowatt hour. It's all a matter of supply and demand. In the cooler months, November through April, everyone uses energy a lot less, matching this low energy demand with low-cost generation, and the results ends up being a cheaper seasonal kilowatt-hour cost. Let's use this same logic during the day, specifically Monday through Friday. During the 5-hour peak time, from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m., the demand for energy is higher when generation sources cost more. During the off-peak time, from 8 p.m. to 3 p.m. the next day, the demand is less and can be generated using cheaper sources of electricity. You can see here that whether it's winter or summer, the cost of a kilowatt hour during the on-peak period is more than twice as much as the off-peak period, about 10 cents compared to 23 cents in the winter, and 24 cents in the summer. In fact, to make it even more attractive, this Saver Choice plan has a super off-peak period during the winter, but unfortunately it's only during the winter period, between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., where the cost of a kilowatt hour is more than 7 times cheaper. 7 times. Do I really need to tell you when you should be doing your laundry and dishes if you have this Saver Choice plan? In fact, at these prices, you should cook dinner early and eat it for lunch. Now let's move on to 3-part plans. These plans have names like Saver Choice Plus and Saver Choice Max. Similar to 2-part plans, these plans have a basic daily service fee. And similar to the Saver Choice plan, they also follow the same winter and summer month schedule as well as the Monday through Friday on-peak, off-peak schedule. The upside of the 3-part plan is the kilowatt-hour energy costs are cheaper than any of the other plans discussed so far, except for that crazy winter super off-peak rate we mentioned in the Saver Choice plan. The Saver Choice Plus and Max kilowatt-hour rates are considerably cheaper. The more energy you shift to the off-peak hours, the more you save. Now here's the catch. The 3rd part of the Saver Choice Plus and Max plans is the introduction of the on-peak demand charge. Depending how you look at it, the on-peak demand charge is by far the largest variable in your month's electric bill. APS describes it as an opportunity to save. I describe it as an opportunity to lose if you're not aware of the ground rules. So here it is in a nutshell. All Trilogy homes have a smart electric meter installed, so APS not only can tell how much energy you have used over the month, but they know how much you're using in any 1 hour. The on-peak demand charge is a charge for the single highest hour of energy use between the on-peak 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. period. It's monitored for the entire billing cycle. Even though spikes can occur at any moment, it's the average over the entire hour. If you're using the Saver Choice Plus plan, your on-peak demand charge for your highest hour of usage in the month is $8.40 per kilowatt. That's for each kilowatt used, and it's not uncommon to average 5, 6, or 7 kilowatts in an averaged on-peak hour. If you think that's high, if you're using the Saver Choice Max plan, the on-peak demand charge for your highest hour of usage in the month is $12.23 per kilowatt hour in the winter and $17.43 in the summer. Multiply that times an average of 5, 6, or 7 kilowatt hours in your single highest hour of usage, and that can represent a significant portion of your bill. And all these dollars are before taxes and fees that are imposed. Let's watch how quickly kilowatts can add up. Let's say you're on the Saver Choice Max plan. It's 5 p.m. on a hot Wednesday in July, and it's 108 outside. The TV's on, the kitchen lights are on, the refrigerator's getting opened every few minutes, and my favorite casserole's in the electric oven. And there's garlic bread in the toaster oven. And don't forget the noodles boiling on the gas stove. The clothes dryer's running, and I think it's about time to start the washer. Another 1,000 watts right now just might be a real bad decision. Let's look at what's going on. Remember, heat is energy, And when we add heat, we need even more energy to replace it with air conditioning. The electric oven, toaster, gas cooktop, and not to mention the 108-degree heat outside are all adding heat to the house. While the heat being created by my dryer is being exhausted outside through the vent, the 108-degree outside air is being drawn into my house to replace it. It's no wonder my 2 air conditioners are running so hard. They're just trying to remove the BTUs being generated by everything else. Now let's look at the nameplate ratings for all these loads. The dryer, electric oven, the 2 air conditioners are clearly the big ones. If all these appliances ran simultaneously, the total would be well over 14 kilowatts. And if they ran flat out for an hour, the on-demand charge would be huge at $17 an hour. Now these numbers are the appliance maximum wattages. Most of these appliances cycle on and off during the hour. Luckily, the on-demand charge uses the hour's average. But it is possible for appliances to be on 75% of the time. Even if they cycled on and off 50% of the time, it would still result in a demand charge well in excess of $100. And keep in mind, this doesn't include the basic daily service fee or the monthly on-peak kilowatt-hour usage costs. So you can see that starting a washer for an hour can easily push you into the next kilowatt level and set a new highest 1-hour demand peak of the month with just the push of a button. Now, I don't mean to scare you with these rate plans, but they can be overwhelming. The goal of these time-of-use plans is to flatten the curve. I know you're familiar with that term now, by changing your behaviors to shift your energy use out of the peak periods and into the lower-cost off-peak periods. The on-peak charge ensures smooth and predictable energy curves for APS by minimizing spikes. This is huge for system reliability and cost volatility. And they do this by incentivizing you to minimize the number of appliances you've got using at any one time. If you're aware of your plan's requirements, you can benefit from decisions you make. If you're not, your costs will reflect it. So what are some of the ideas to help you flatten the curve during the on-peak hours? When I'm out of town and no one's home, I never run my AC during the peak period. Never. When I'm home, I chill the house for the 2 hours prior to the peak period using cheaper rates. This delays the start of my air conditioning during the on-peak period, saving me money. If you haven't done it yet, install LED lights and high-efficiency TVs. If you've still got an old plasma TV, you should get rid of it. Keep the fridge full, even if it's just gallons of water. It'll cycle less and save money. Use the dishwasher timer to run after 8 o'clock at night, and do the laundry after hours as well. As important in the summer, do things to reduce heat sources. This saves energy and eases the load on your air conditioners. Here's some examples. A room fan is a motor, and it's adding heat when it runs. It cools people by evaporating moisture from your skin. If you're not there, you're wasting energy. Use the room fans only when you're in the room. Limit the amount of time you run exhaust fans. You're forcing out cool air and sucking in hot outside air. Your attic transfers heat down to your house. Inspect the insulation, especially if it's an older house or it's been trampled due to maintenance up there. Repair the insulation if you have to. Use an Instapot or a toaster oven instead of the big kitchen oven. I keep telling my wife if she needs to run the toaster oven for a long time, she should take it out in the garage. I thought it was a great idea, but all I get is the eye roll. And the last thing to do is get informed. Know your rate plan and schedule. Know the dates when your high rates go into effect. For us, it's May 1st. Remember the Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. on peak time. And if I haven't mentioned it, lucky for us, there's 10 weekday holidays that are exempt from the on-peak rates. This may sound silly, but if you're on a time-of-use plan, you should put post-it notes around your house to prevent you from using major appliances during the peak period. And if you haven't done it so far, sign up for the APS website. It's pretty good. Use their rate comparison tool to see if, based on your past usage, you're better off with another plan or doing very well on the one you've got. And if you're going to change your plan, be aware that you can only change your rate plan once in a year. So look at the entire year before you make that change. Well, I hope you liked this video. And as always, feel free to subscribe to my House Talk channel. And don't forget to hit the like button.